Our next speaker is Glen Takahashi.
As Dennis introduced me, my name is Glen Takahashi. I'll be graduating from Lynbrook High School next year, and in the fall I'll be studying computer science at UCLA. Next. Please. Here are some of the things I've done through my high school career. I was started a game design club, and I did some other clubs and some activities involving music or programming. So two of the topics I'll be covering today are time management with video games and distractions, which I feel is a very concerning topic for many high school parents with their children. And the second topic I'll talk about is creating a club that interests you and you have passion for about the subject. From basically middle school and all the way through my high school career, I consider myself sort of a video game addict. All the way through my sophomore year, I had spent most of my time after school playing video games. I would stay up late because I had been doing my projects during the day when I should have been doing it, or I just stay up late because I don't have any homework and I feel that I have the right to stay up late to play video games. So I followed this kind of process with my parents. My parents would nag me, they'd see me playing video games my freshman year, and then knock on my door and say, "Glenn, get off the computer and go do some homework." And after a few minutes, I would go do some homework, but I would only do it for a few minutes, and then I go straight back to video games. And this problem was very apparent through all my freshman high school career. And eventually, after about a year and a half, in my sophomore year, I realized that my parents were right, and I wasn't spending too much time playing video games, and I wasn't getting my work done as quickly as I should get it done. So I worked and I tried to figure out what can I do to manage my time better? What can I do to get rid of the distractions and improve my time? So the first thing I tried, which many people try, is I tried to just get rid of them all together. I would block YouTube, I uninstalled all my video games, and I tried to live without having any video games on my computer. And for about 2 weeks or so, that worked perfectly fine. I was really happy. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go home and do all my homework. And I got all my projects and stuff done on time. But almost on cue, 2 weeks later, all my games are back again, and there I was spending all my time playing video games and procrastinating on my work. And of course, after about 2 more weeks, I uninstalled my videos again, and I had my 2-week session, and then I reinstalled them again, and I got into the cycle of on and off video games. Eventually, I realized that this too was not working. I wasn't spending all my time doing projects. I was kind of falling into the cycle where I get re-addicted, and I get uninstalled again, and I get re-addicted, and this wasn't working. So to fix this again, is I figured out, what if I just live with video games, because I can't really escape them, and I just try to manage my time. So the first thing I did was I just said, time limits. I said, I'm going to play 30 minutes of video games a day, or I'm going to watch 45 minutes of YouTube videos. And when I did this, I would say play 30 minutes of my game, but I would end up, after those 30 minutes, I'd be halfway through a level, and I couldn't save, and I'd be, darn, I wanted to finish the level, so I'll play another 15 minutes. And that 15 minutes would turn into an extra half an hour. It would turn into an extra 45 minutes to an hour, etc. And I end up playing my video game the whole day. So I tried to figure out what was wrong with the system I was doing. What was wrong with the way I was managing my time? So I kind of just couldn't figure out anything. I would fall into the cycle of, some days I'd do pretty well, some days I'd actually get caught up in my time and I'd play video games 6 hours a day. But then a few weeks before high school, my sophomore finals, I said, I gotta figure something out. So I kind of changed my opinion on the whole thing. I said, well, video games aren't really a distraction, you can call them. But what if I think of them as more like a project? Like, there's many parallels. Like, video games have an endpoint. Projects have a final product. And then video games have levels. Projects have milestones. So I thought to myself, what if I treat this as a project? What if I say, I'm going to speed 1 level today, 1 level tomorrow, 1 level the next day. And each one of those levels probably takes around some 30 minutes. And when I did this, I thought it was really well. It worked really well. I would spend 1 level, and I'd be, oh, well, I feel really accomplished today. I beat 1 level. And then I could drop it right there, because I wasn't in between 2 levels or in between 2 videos. And I could stop right there, and I would be really satisfied with my progress. And even more than that is because I'd be so satisfied with my progress, I do even better on my homework and work more productively. And I overall came out better. And finally, the finals came around, and I was really prepared for my finals because I had started using the system, and I would spend only 30 minutes a day compared to my few hours a day spending doing video games. And I was really prepared for my finals, and I did really well. And this carried me to my junior year, in which I got straight A's because I was able to manage my time properly. And this really just made me clear on what I needed to do to manage my time and how I could manage my time in college even when I don't have my parents nagging over me, telling me to get off the computer and go do something. And this also kind of brings me to my next point too, which is creating a club. Creating a club is a lot about what inspires you and what your passions are. And as you can see, I was really passionate about video games. I really love to play them, and whenever I played them, I would think about how I can make this club better. So during my sophomore year, my parents told me about this thing called college, which is a 4-week summer camp where you stay at UC in the dorms and you take classes on a certain subject. My parents told me about this thing called at UC Santa Cruz. I was video games. I'm like, oh man, I love playing video games. What's so hard about this? So I spent 4 weeks in the dorm at UC Santa Cruz, learning from this great professor about video game design and programming video games in Java. So I was really into this, right? I came out of those 4 weeks and I'm like, wow, that was really amazing. I learned so much. I made this really cool game. I showed it to my friends and they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's like, hey, you should teach some other people about how to create video games. So I'm like, that's a pretty good idea, but how do I do that? So I said, why don't I create a club? Clubs are a great way for you to share your passions with other people and teach other people how to do something that you like to do. So the first thing I realized though was after looking at some of the other clubs that formed at campus, is that I needed to find an advisor or a teacher that was really passionate about the same things I was. So I saw some other people with their professors, they were math teachers, and they were doing some sort of business club, and the math teachers had nothing to do with it. They just kind of sat there in the back of the classroom, just as more like a just do nothing, exactly. So what they did is I went out and I tried to find a professor that was really enthusiastic about video game science. So I found this teacher who was really passionate and who was really engaged in the club. And that made the club like twice as good as some of the other clubs I see around campus. Because the teacher was passionate and also providing his resources that we could use. The second thing I realized too was after I created that club a few weeks in, people started, people just didn't come to the meetings, they didn't turn in their work, or they just lost interest and they said, I'm done, I want to go do something else. And at first I was heartbroken. I was like, oh man, why are people like this club and I'm doing a bad job? But then I realized that it's not my fault. Some people just don't have the same interest as me. And I kind of learned from this and said, well, I have to make sure that I deal with it and just use the remaining people and teach them and make them enthusiastic about the topics that I like. So I spent my time then teaching my partners and all the members of my club about video game design, and they were really enthusiastic about it. I said, oh, well, we don't really need the other people anymore. Let's just teach the people that really want to do it. And so when I only had people left that were really enthusiastic about my club, the club became that much better. And everything was so much more productive. We got a lot of work done, everyone made their good games, and I had a club that was very passionate, and everyone was really involved. So some of the myths and realities is, what I realized when I came out of this high school career was, video games are really not a problem as long as you don't manage them. Once I learned to manage and set goals for my video games, I was really fine, and I could manage my time well and do my projects and get everything done on time. The second one is people thought that clubs are really just a way to pad your college apps and get your applications look really good. And when I created my club, I realized that that's not the reason why you created a club. It was because I was enthusiastic about what I was doing, and I wanted to share with other people. And in the end, it did help my college apps, but only because I was so enthusiastic about what I was doing. So just remember when all you students and parents are going through high school is to make sure that you let your children play video games sometimes, but just make sure that it's in moderation. It's not too hard, and it won't be the death of you as long as you do it in moderation. And when you're creating a club, make sure you're doing it just out of passion and